Hey Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome back to Let's Play Civilization 6 as Mongolia. Conquest is going quite well. We have made great progress. My hope is this episode will take out Nubia and Phoenicia, and then start maybe voyaging the Great Sea to look for the other continent. Alright, expecting to lose a couple of units, and I did lose a Keshig over in Moreau. Now we actually found Hippolyta as well, but it looks like Dido claimed her. The great thing about these questing knights is they're going to be able to do massive damage to Nubia's units running around. Let's upgrade a couple of crossbowmen here. That'll get me the boost from metal casting, which will allow me to get bombards. And then next turn in Urumqi, I'll buy the armory, and that'll boost gunpowder, so we'll be able to get metal casting nice and quick. But I think faith buying a couple of bombards would be useful, because we're reaching the point now where these cities have so much combat strength defense that it's actually hard to break through. And we'll just have to kind of like push as hard as we can. I'm going to be converting some of my coursers to questing knights as well to try to push through the city. I don't know if it's going to work perfectly, but we'll give it a go. Got to do a little bit of pillaging up here in Ugarit. There's the government plaza completely pillaged, which will unlock us diplomatic service, so we've access to spies now. I think I'm going to spend a couple of turns unlocking mercenaries so that I can get the 50% discount on unit upgrades. Pillage the trading post for more gold, and now we'll start taking out Ugarit. City is basically fully pillaged. We do have to watch out for Hippolyta over there, but my vampire will be able to completely demolish these cities before they can get walls up. Alright, Hippolyta is going to be a bit of a problem because she's tanky as hell. Now the good news is my vampire will be able to do a lot of work for me. So as long as I get enough damage on Hippolyta, it should be a very, very easy kill here. And there it is. Easy kills. Let's go ahead and clear the city. Yoink belongs to me. Little bit of a loyalty problem in there. Let's swing over Liang to try to buy a bit of extra loyalty time in here. If I get 5 turns, that should be enough to maybe go over here and grab Tyre. Let's purchase the armory, like we said. That'll give the city another chunk of production too, which is pretty helpful. Just trying to break this encampment, because it's honestly a pretty big wall for me to break through right now. Killing off all of these catapults, getting my vampire leveled up as well, which feels pretty good. Oh, I accidentally converted my great general into a questing knight. That was not what I meant to do. Which kind of sucks because I would have liked to have had that great general. But this encampment is pretty close to falling now, and I might be able to break it this turn. Alright, cool. So we got rid of that encampment, which means we can approach Moreau pretty uncontested now. Let's plug in professional army so units are cheaper to upgrade. Kill this crossbowman with my vampire. Pillage for yet more gold. Keep bombarding the city of Tyre. Let's go ahead and steal Taruga for 5 envoys. That'll give me a little bit of era score, but more importantly, it means that Taruga is on my side now. Even if they don't have an envoy, or an army rather, they will give me a 5% science boost in cities that have strategic resources. That should net me a little bit of chunk of science over the course of the game. Let's kill this courser. Kaboom. There's another level up on my questing, or on my vampire rather. Let's put down the marble industry in the capital. That'll give me a very powerful tile to work. And it'll also give me a 30% production boost towards buildings, which will come in handy. Double pillage here, and that'll finish my technology for me, because I'm pillaging for science. I really should have the pillaging card plugged in, since I'm doing just so much pillaging. But it seems to be working out pretty okay, even though I don't have it plugged in. Absolutely smash their capital wide open with our vampire. We should be able to take it next turn. The fastest way to heal on heroes is actually to pillage, so I'm getting my heroes healed back up by smashing through their terrain. I'm a little bit sad that I lost my my guy, the great general. I accidentally converted him, but you know what? We live with our mistakes. Step down with Arthur, pillage that, move back into the city. Should make another questing knight, because the current questing knights I have are starting to run out of steam. But I am pillaging still in Nubia's cities, and we're still making fantastic progress against them. The city is coming apart very quickly. I'm throwing my questing knights into it to try and get the city to break quickly. It's a very inefficient way to do things, but I do have reinforcements on the way in the form of like catapults and stuff like that, as well as more Keshigs. So I should be able to sustain a push, a very like hyper aggressive doom push like this. Right, let's sort out the Phoenician capital now. We'll just like push as much damage onto it as possible. We'll pillage that district here. Our vampire will be able to take the city this turn. Yoink, it belongs to me now. Loyalty will be a little bit of a problem. Thankfully though, Ugarit is actually, weirdly enough, Ugarit is flipping independent, which is actually good for me. because there's a ton of pillageable tiles here, and I have builders in the area to repair afterwards anyway. Let's make another questing knight. This one at slightly lower health. Continue to pillage to try to bring the city's combat strength down. I think I was a little bit too aggressive here. And now I'm going to be running into issues. I thought I had enough units to sustain a push like this, but I was maybe, yeah, I think I was too aggressive. I'm still going to be hyper aggressive because the name of the game is breaking the city. But I mean, as long as my vampire survives this turn, I should be able to pillage for health on him. And I do have reinforcements on the way. The problem is they have a crossbowman in the city now, which is going to make my life a little bit more difficult. Let's keep the momentum up here in the north. Things are going much better up here. So I should be able to break this city in 2 or 3 turns. Pillage here for vampire health. We'll pillage here for questing knight health. We'll cross the river. We'll come in. Still working on breaking Moreau. Just been burning my knight and questing knight health into the city. We'll try to do the same thing with our coursers as well. Just kind of rotato them in and out. Do as much damage to the city as possible. Hey, we got Giovanni de Medici. That's going to be useful for when we build our next commercial hub. Although I could use him to form an industry. I think he's probably better off making the bank somewhere. It's probably over in St. John, where I'm building a commercial hub right now. Let's reassign Victor over to Tyre, because we are having a little bit of a loyalty problem in there, and we have a little bit more time in Lixus in terms of loyalty. Gotta try and get rid of this pikeman. He's being a thorn in my side, hitting my cavalry when I need him to not be doing that. We'll switch to this Keshig to keep it nice and safe. We'll keep killing you. We'll switch the vampire and the courser. We'll attack the city. City should break very, very soon. Let's see if we can't get a kill on this courser. That'll help level up our vampire and make him way stronger over the long run. Let's keep smashing into the city as hard as we can. Does Arthur need to go get a heal again? I think he might need to go get a heal. In which case I'll pop him down here. I'll pick up the pillage and then return over to continue the fight. I am going to doom cycle my cavalry into the city just to get as much damage. We have it down to 50% health. It's cost me a ton of units. It's going to look really bad for me in the graphs at the end of the game, but this is absolutely necessary to break this city in a timely manner. Otherwise, I'd be waiting until I had these bombards in position. Lovely, there's metal casting giving us access to the bombard. I will promptly upgrade these 2 catapults to bombards. I just need a little bit more niter. All right, let's pull back with these coursers who are extremely hurt. And then we'll move in with some new units who might be able to continue the fight. The most important thing is getting damage on the city right now. If we can get the city's health down low enough, we should be able to just brute force it. Right, now that we have metal casting, let's work on military science. I also need to keep abreast of picking up cartography. Looks like I found another good spot for a vampire castle. I have to spend a little bit of cash to buy these tiles, but that's not a big deal. If I can get a builder over here, or I'll probably need 2 builders over here to really improve it enough, but I can thankfully faith buy another builder. Then this vampire over here will be able to build that as he passes back down to the south. But this has really high production and food potential, and that should mean really good things for my capital. Let's get a kill on this pike and shot. I'll use my vampire for that. That way he gets a little bit more combat strength, and we'll step forward and hopefully, we can't quite break it this turn, but we'll absolutely be able to break this city next turn. Yep. I'm losing an awful lot of units. The AI is basically begging me for peace every single turn. They know that they're going to lose, and they know they're in trouble. Most of Nubia's army is actually tied up in naval stuff. Or, sorry, not Nubia, but Phoenicia. But let's go ahead and crack the city wide open, like the Kinder Egg that it is. But now that we have Phoenicia's capital, it's only really a matter of cleaning them up, of basically conquering the rest of these cities purely for economic reasons. So realistically, I think we're essentially done with the conquest of this continent, and it's a matter of snowballing and getting cleanup. One thing I'm worried about is that I'm a little bit behind technologically compared to the world. So this might take a little bit longer than I've been planning. I was hoping to have this wrapped up actually by now, but it's going to keep taking some time. The good news is Arthur should be able to break Moreau this turn, and that's an important milestone because that city now belongs to me. And thanks to Victor, I should be able to just barely hold loyalty in here, and bombards will be a huge part of cleaning up the south. Now that Niter is a limited resource, I'm going to start mass producing bombards in Urumqi. Hey, we chopped out the commercial hub over in St. John, and we'll use Giovanni de Medici to get a bank and a market in here instantly, which will give us a significant boost to our gold income here. Oh, nice. I unlocked Beowulf at long last. Been researching him quite a while. Let's transport him over the front line, and he'll help pick up some of the slack that Arthur will drop when he dies. Probably not necessary to conquer this city, but it does give me an opportunity to train up some of my units, and once the vampire is in position, he should be able to two-shot it. But this is just a great way to farm XP on these Keshigs. Alright, we've got the vampire castle area prepped. It looks like we'll be picking up something in the region of 15 production and about 13 food. And that's about as good as you could ask for when it comes to vampire castles, because all of those yields will be duplicated into my capital, turning it into even bigger of a powerhouse. Alright, Galileo is finally in position, but I'm holding off on using them until printing is finished so that we can boost through military science instantaneously and then get access to cavalry. Alright, we've completely cleaned up the north now, which feels good. There are a couple of caravels around which will make holding these coastal cities moderately annoying. Oh wow, it looks like there might actually be another player on this continent that we never discovered, and it looks like it might actually be Macedon. Those border colors, I mean, that either says Macedon or France to me. Ah well, we have another military emergency to deal with, so they're going to have a couple of bonuses against me, which is going to be annoying. Their cities will do more damage, or rather, they'll heal more when they're inside my territory, which is a little bit annoying. It's not going to completely stop me. I should actually be nearly fine, but our bombards are finally in position to make a difference now, and we should start seeing these cities fall a lot quicker. Emphasis on should. You never know what sort of wild card the AI is going to pull out of their ass. All right, let's finish off El Kuru with Arthur. Boom. Arthur has served me incredibly well so far. We just have 3 more Nubian cities to take out, and then 3 or 4 more Phoenician cities, and we should be good to press onwards. These pike and shots are now at the point where they're kind of spooky. They have a lot of combat strength that I gotta push my way through, and even my my Keshigs don't do a huge amount of damage because they get their combat bonus against cavalry on the defense. I'm gonna avoid meeting this other player for a while because I want to kill Nubia and Dido before I meet this player, because if you know somebody and then wipe out a civilization, you get a bunch of negative grievances with them. So if I can wipe them out before I meet other players, I'll be starting off with a clean slate on the second continent. And honestly, like, once I finish these guys off, I could even decide to go for a culture or a scientific victory. I could do a transition, which might be an interesting way to play things, because I've never really done a transition. Once I go into domination, I typically just continue it almost out of habit. Like, there's no real reason you can't switch. And this might be a circumstance in which switching is the right choice. So I just pillaged for a bit of science, and now I've completed printing. And now we're working on military science. That's a 1100 science tech. I use Galilei. I instantly get military science. And now I can upgrade my coursers to cavalry for 135 gold each, which is an incredibly cheap price if you consider that cavalry have 62 combat strength and coursers have 44. That's a massive increase. To put a little bit of combat strength stuff in perspective, plus 10 combat strength, I believe, means you do 50% more damage to a unit of the same combat strength, and plus 17 means you do 100% more damage to a unit of the same combat strength. So a unit going from 44 to 62, that's almost an 18. That's almost a 20 combat strength increase, which means the damage they would do to a corsair or a courser is doubled. In fact, probably more than doubled. So now that we have military science, I'd like to start thinking about getting my corporations online, because they're relatively low investment in terms of like great merchant points to get a very, very high return thing. Although I am absolutely going to need cartography now. It's also about time that I started thinking about upgrading my my Keshigs to field cannons, because they're starting to be a little bit out of date. They're not completely obsolete, and they'll be a little bit less obsolete once I have the thing that allows me to combine units together, nationalism or whatever. But it's slowly getting there. And besides, nationalism is going to take quite a while to pick up, because my culture gain this game is pretty good, but it's actually, you know, surprisingly slow, the rate at which I'm unlocking new civics. I'll do a gain sources mission in Phoenicia just for that extra +3 combat strength from visibility. Because my capital has such a high food gain, it might actually be a really good idea for me to grab something like Temple of Artemis in here. It'll only take 4 turns because of the massive production, but it'll give the city a huge boost to its housing, and I'll actually be able to work some of these tiles. We're also getting into the era where oil may be revealed, so it could be a good move to try to get some of this like latent land towards the northeast settled. In the hopes that maybe oil will appear in some of it. So I think in a few of my sort of lesser important cities, I'm going to start just slowly building settlers to claim the coastline and the desert and stuff like that for more access to oil. All right, double bombard shot on Iken. And the speed at which you can rip through cities with bombards always feels good to me. To be able to just blow apart a city in a couple of turns, especially when you had up until this point been having to like slowly grind your way through these cities. I have enough faith to recall a hero, and I don't know who I would maybe recall. Mulan is fairly cheap. She's only 150 faith. Or sorry, she's 150 faith cheaper than normal, so she's only 850 faith. But I mean, I can still also purchase things like settlers, which may actually be the move, especially in a place like Urumqi. Maybe I could just purchase out a few quick settlers to grab the remaining land over here. Right, I need to get rid of this musketman, so I'll take him out with the vampire. Then this pike and shot represents a pretty big problem for me too, but I also need to get some pillages in to make sure that I'm continuing to expand my economy appropriately. But let's hammer the hell out of this pike and shot, see if we can't get his health down to something manageable. All right, lovely. We have Zhou Daguan, who will give 3 envoys at a city-state. I don't think that's going to be super useful for me, so I'll probably make use of him to make a corporation later. It took me 154 turns, but I finally got my great prophet. I don't even know if it's worth it to actually found a religion. I'm going to have a little bit of a think about that one, because I won't have my religion in the majority of my empire. So that would mean a massive faith investment just to actually not suffer a loyalty penalty. I think maybe once I have the continent conquered, I'll do it. All right, thanks very much, Iken. You belong to me now. Let's get our bombards in position for another city assault. We want to make sure that we're pillaging heavily as well, so we'll also be in position to do a bit of that. All right, we'll kill the pike and shot. My vampire is basically a giant death robot at this point. He has 42 combat strength from killing units, which is pretty insane. It's a little bit crazy. Even better news, my cavalry are strong enough now to run around inside enemy territory with impunity and just pillage everything I like, generating me insane amounts of resources. And that should be even better now that I have raid plugged in. Kaboom, kaboom. These cities are a little bit tougher initially because their base combat strength and the fact that they have Renaissance walls. They still will break because all walls will fall beneath the hooves of the Mongolian Empire, you know what I mean? But it'll just take a little bit longer. Right, we have cartography, and my next goal would probably be oil. Either I can go for oil or maybe some sort of corporation play. There's quite a few options I could go for here. I could go for industrialization, I could go for cuirassiers, I could go for steel, refining into steel. The real question is, do I want to keep going domination after I've taken over this continent? And I keep coming back to this question because I'm still like incredibly undecided upon it. I really don't know if I want to just go full whole hog into domination this game. I mean, I know the last 3 episodes have been basically being me just murdering cities. But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Alright, lovely. We got the Temple of Artemis in the capital. That'll net us a bit of amenities in here too to help make up for the war weariness. Like, just to put this in perspective, right? Here's a 62 combat strength unit going up against a 72 combat strength city. It barely notches out a bit of damage on the city. Now here's my vampire with 110 combat strength. This city has like incredibly hard to break walls, but my vampire is so strong that he's able to punch right through. Anyway, let's keep chipping away at the walls with our ranged units. Most important thing. I do really like the idea of like just firing enough arrows at walls to where they just start to crack and break. But I think the vampire is honestly best used to clear up any reinforcing units because he gets stronger from doing it. He can one-shot most units, and attacking cities is like, yeah, sure, it's his forte, but you know, I have other units that can kind of take up that mantle, whereas my other units can't really take out units in a single turn. Let's continue to pillage for tons and tons of science and faith and gold. Man, it feels so good to just make out like a bandit with all this resources that I'm effectively stealing from the AI. I think I've made the decision now that I will make a religion if I can this game. So I'll pop my great prophet onto that holy site. Now that the walls have taken a bit of damage, they're starting to fall a little bit quicker, which I'm very happy about. Because I'm a little bit sick. I'm a little bit sick of like throwing my units against cities now. Because it's pretty much all I've done for the last hour. Found a religion. I think I'm going to go with the religion of smoking big doinks in Amish. That seems like a pretty good religion to me. I think the big problem I'm going to have with an empire of this size is amenities. So Zen meditation is going to be a big help here. I feel like the right choice here is to pick up Holy Order so I can spread my religion for cheaper. All right, lovely. +2 era score for founding a religion. And now if we look at the map mode, how it should work is pretty much every city that had a holy site in it, which is actually very few cities, will have my religion now and slowly start spreading it. Let's grab 2 apostles so that we can immediately evangelize and then continue our conquest up here in the north. I'm expecting big damage here. Oh, look at that. That's a fully walled city taking an absurd amount of damage in a single turn from a vampire. I'm continuing to burn my Keshigs. I've been losing a couple of Keshigs as we go here, which, not the end of the world, but it's definitely not my preference to just randomly lose units. Alright, there's Kawa. Nubia has only 1 city left, and it's Sedinga. It's already flipping independent, so we should be able to break that city pretty quick smart. I'm curious, if I look at this right, 9 units have died near this vampire. If I kill a unit with Beowulf, does that give me +1? No, it actually doesn't count. The unit has to die because Beowulf like deletes things. All right, let's launch an Inquisition. Kaboom, there we go. A little bit of era score. We'll evangelize as well. We'll get 1 more apostle to evangelize, and then we'll get Inquisitors, and that's just to get rid of Zoroastrianism nice and quick. Man, I'm really not sure. Do I want to take the science, the culture, or tithe? Or maybe even the faith. I'm trying to think what would actually help me like win the game the most. I'm 3rd in science, so I probably don't need science to win the game. Culturally, culture helps in a domination, but I'm not sure. I could go for pilgrimage, or tithe would just give me like such a powerful economy. I feel like I already have a pretty powerful economy, and my monopolies on luxury resources are only going to get stronger because I basically completely control this entire continent, which means I have a monopoly on every single resource on it, because I believe per continent you can only get four luxuries can spawn per continent. So if I do a search for luxury on Terra Australis, which is the continent of there's a continent that I live on, you can see it'll highlight all the tiles, and there should only be marble, amber, jade, and truffles, and those should be the only luxuries on here because each continent spawns 4. There might be some sea-based luxuries. Typically there'll be something like amber in the water, maybe turtles and stuff like that, maybe pearls like hiding up over here. But I can pretty much get like a mega monopoly here as well. Like, that's the really cool thing. My game mode is actually pretty wide open now because I could very easily transition into a culture game. I could very easily transition into a science game. I could keep pushing for domination. And like choosing my belief here is going to depend on which way I want to go. If I'm going for a culture game, pilgrimage or world church would be great. If I'm going for a science victory, cross-cultural dialogue is great. And if I'm going for a domination here, tithe or cross-cultural dialogue both have a lot of value. So yeah, I don't know what I should do here. All right, so I threw up a poll on my YouTube channel, and there were a bunch of people who wanted to see me continue a domination game. But I think this would be most interesting if I actually transitioned a domination like this into a tourism game, just specifically because I'm paying monopolies and corporations. So that means we're going to want to immediately get to work on unlocking economics. We have a couple of banks on the way. I'll go ahead and grab pilgrimage for the extra faith. That will make a big difference in how much late game sort of tourism-y stuff I can unlock. And we'll just continue on dominating as we go here. This is what I love about cavalry units. I can scoot this Keshik back, scoot this cavalry here, pillage for 75 health, move in, move forward with the Keshik, shoot the musketmen, kill the musketmen, and then this guy got another +1 combat strength. We can hammer the city with our ranged units to bring the average health and defensive strength of the city down. And then my vampire should be able to finish the city off in a single blow. And there we have it. We only have 4 more cities to conquer, and then we completely own the continent. Let's evangelize our final belief, and we'll go ahead and grab stupas for the extra amenities. That gives me a nice chunk of era score. I'm very, very close to getting a golden age. I just need to kill Nubia, and I should be able to nail myself a golden age, because you get +5 era score when you kill the last city of a civilization. Pillage, and then pillage. Tons of gold rolling in now. I've got 4 turns to take the city of Sedinga to secure myself a golden age, which should be a fairly easy mission to complete. I've already got the city down to less than half health, and I've got 4 bombards in range. It's gonna be pure simple. Even Sidon is about to crumble. Although I do need to keep, I want to keep at least some of my Keshiks alive. I'm trying to make my end of game stats look a little bit better, and kaboom! There we go. Another city has fallen. 1 era score away from a golden age. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. Nubia is now dead. I am suffering massive negative diplomatic power penalties, but that's fine. That's totally fine, because we just have 2 more cities to crack, and we own this entire continent. And I just need to spam out a few settlers to claim all the coastline, make sure I have all of the luxuries. Oh wow, look at that, a +5 theater square in Moreau. Oh Jesus Christ, this city only has ancient walls, and look at the damage this vampire does. Vampires are insane, dude. Wait, can vampires repair things? Can you just have vampires? Oh my god, vampires can repair things after you conquer a city. I never even thought of using them like that. That makes them even more powerful if you don't need them to actually take the cities. Lovely, there's nationalism. At long last, I can start maybe considering combining together some of my Keshiks for a little bit of extra combat power. And it'll also make my army more efficient in the sense that it'll use up less economic power, because I believe combined units are actually cheaper to maintain than uncombined units. So overall, it's going to be a big upgrade to the efficiency of my army. We're in the industrial era now, so let's go ahead and pick something interesting. I could go for 2 arms and push hard for military stuff, but I think it's more interesting if we go for reform the coinage here and just massively boost how much gold we make per turn. All right, let's take out the second last city of Phoenicia. They just have 1 more over here, Byblos, and I have a couple of bombards in range, as well as a bunch of units sitting outside the city. I'm going to start running theater square festivals in my capital to try to recruit as many of these great riders as fast as I possibly can. I'm also going to run commercial hub investments, because I have 3 of the great merchants I need to establish a monopoly and corporation on each of the resources on this continent, but I need at least 1 more. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe it would be good to run industrial zone logistics to grab Filippo Brunelleschi and see if we can't go for the Eiffel Tower here. I'm going to plug out professional army as well as chivalry, because I'm not building any more units. I don't need raid anymore. Conscription is still good. We'll instead plug in limes for the 100% production towards defensive buildings. We're going to want to get walls up pretty much everywhere for that little bit of extra boost of tourism and conservation. And we may as well plug in retainers to turn our army into an amenity generating machine. Let's plop in trade confederation instead of town charters for that science and culture from international trade routes. I'm mostly trading with city-states right now, so it would also be a good idea to plug in Visselbanken to make those trade routes to city-states better. And we'll plug in frescoes so we can start pumping out great artists really fast once we have our art museums on. Hey, we got mercantilism, which is useful in a number of ways, partially because we can plug in triangular trade for the extra golden faith, but more importantly, we can now see how much control we have of each luxury and how close we are to a monopoly. I only need 2 more copies of truffles for a full monopoly of truffles, but when it comes to jade and marble and amber, I'm going to have to do a lot more settling for those. Kaboom! Kaboom! Kaboom, chop, chop, and Dido is dead. Long live Mongolia. Now that we've fully conquered this entire continent, I'm going to call that the end of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!